Hi, Doug Lowe here with Artisan Construction in Charlottesville, Virginia. Today we're evaluating this building, the basement of the building here, particularly to review the insulation details around the outer band of the building, which is a common area that you'll find air leaks from time to time. In a new building, you would often find there's a product called Seal Sealer. It's like a rubber foam product that is put in place below the bottom plate just before you attach to the concrete. And in this particular building, we found that it actually just isn't there. As a result, we can feel a little bit of air, and there's evidence that there's a little bit of air that is passing through there, and so the hot air and the cold air are mixing, and sometimes that'll cause condensation, which can lead to some mold issues also, which we found a little bit when we pulled this insulation loose to take a look at it. The solution for this is to try to find ways to tighten up the airflow around the band joist, and you would need to evaluate this in your own basement. But we would be using a product like a spray foam product to try to get around these edges. In this example, we find this is a water line that's going to the exterior to an outside faucet, and it's difficult for the camera to see it from that angle, but as it passes through the wall, there's basically no insulation or sealant around this pipe right here. Further, there's another pipe that's having to pass through the wall right here, and you can see, as a prime example, this has no sealant around it at all. I'm going to take the foam spray sealer and seal the end of the band board, seal around that hole, and also seal around this hole. Just try to get these closed up a little bit more. Another area that we have found, there's a pipe that passes through this wall for the heating and cooling system. And it appears as they brought it through the wall that they didn't take any measures to try to seal this up. The hole is so large that normally we would buy a material called backer rod that you can get at the building supply store, which is a type of foam rope kind of stuff. It's about the thickness of a rope. And you would fit around there, but it would not be enough. You would need to seal it with still some of the spray foam. I don't have any of the backer rod with me, so I'm going to improvise and use a little bit of paper, just enough to fill the void until I can get the foam in there. And this is kind of the homemade version of being able to do this, but it will work. But otherwise, your foam would just be falling into the block and filling it up. So again, this will not be very neat, but it's a good thing to do. And as you put this particular type of sealer in here, it expands after it goes in place. If you're doing some sealing around windows and doors, there's a different kind of foam that you want to get that doesn't expand, but for our purposes, we want the expansion type foam through here. If you don't stop airflow, we also find that it can create some mold situations, and so you need to decide how to get that cleaned up, or maybe get a professional involved. And you might want to look at the insulation as you pull it out to see if there's any mold on it. That will help you understand. You can also review the wood to see if there's any mold. But the bottom line is stop the airflow. If you're going to insulate your basement, there are a couple of different ways you could do it, but I wanted to recommend that you possibly consider using a rigid foam board insulation like this. This particular board, as you can see from the end here, is 2 inches thick. But you can look at this chart right here. If you can see this, it has a corresponding value for the thickness and R value. So if you have a thickness of 2 inches, you should get about an R10 out of this board. If you have a thickness of 3 inches, you would get an R15. You do need to make sure that the building you're going to insulate has already been checked for water issues. Make sure there's no water moisture coming through these walls or a water problem. If you have a water problem, you need to fix that first before you start considering the insulation. In our example here, we're not going to put this up and actually in place right now, but if we were, I would recommend that you use an all-purpose construction adhesive, preferably one that has a low VOC. A low VOC rate, I mean, it doesn't have a lot of smells and fumes and hazardous chemicals in it. And you could use this basically with a caulking gun. You could put some on the wall, or I'd put it on the board itself and then simply put it in place, and it should hold up almost immediately. And by the time you get your basement insulated, you're already saving money, because a well-insulated basement is just going to make the home more energy efficient.